Good morning. It is 10:01 a.m. on Friday, February 28th, 2025. Call this meeting of the Wichita County Commissioners Court to order. We're going to do something a little different this morning before we get started. I'm going to ask everyone to join me in a word of prayer. We found out that overnight, Mark, overnight that Pat, the longtime lead for M&F Athletic and for the courthouse renovation and annex project, passed away, and so just want to start out in prayer for his family. Please join me. Holy Father, we thank you for the chance to be here this morning and to be put in this position to deliberate and make choices that affect county residents. Lord, this morning we just thank you that you are the great comforter and provider. And Lord, we lift up Pat's family to you and his friends and those who he had a meaningful part in their lives, Lord, and pray for your comfort over them over these next days and weeks and months as they deal with the loss of a good friend or good friend, husband, family member. Lord, I just put them before you and ask for you to comfort them. We thank you for his life and the way he went about his business and the impact that he had on all of those lives that he touched. Lord, please be with us in this session, and Lord, please be with his family. And we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Excuse me. Just two items on today's agenda, but they're both probably going to have some significant discussion, so buckle up. Item number one is discussion of Road and Bridge Precinct 5 finances and policies on usage of equipment in Precinct 5. To start, I've asked Matt to give us a update on the balance and just kind of a financial lay of the land for where Precinct 5 finances are today and potentially moving forward for the rest of this year. So Matt, I will turn it over to you.
So I reached out to Stephen this morning and got the information for the TETS pool account. As of next Tuesday, following the list, which has about $3,000 in bills on it, the Road and Bridge Precinct 5 will have about $94,875 in the account. That is not including the sale of the distributor that we have not received yet. That'll bring in around $330 after the auction proceeds come out of it. For the 2025 budget, we have already encumbered around $307,000, which is for the purchase of the two vehicles, the trailer, and then the $21,000 in repairs that we had approved a couple weeks ago for that other machine. So currently the budget will need to be amended to recognize the sale of the distributor and to increase the current expenditures
Now,
budget.
What do you show Matt as, when you said trailer, what is that?
Let's see.
You're talking about the encumbrances?
Mm-hmm.
I've got the two 2026 Mack day cabs at $187K and the 15-inch Mack. It's listed as dump truck for $97.6K. Those all three have been
The
approved.
dump truck was, now should have been in the 24. It just is, of course, late delivering, but it's 197, Judge.
I have a 186 680, and those are the day caps that he was talking about.
That's combined, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the 97 630 is the Matt's Ops dump truck.
Yeah. And what do you show it as? How much?
97 630.
Oh, because of sale
Yeah.
values.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Now that would be true.
Yeah.
We're going to sell two after those arrive, which Jack reported to me that may be as much close as this month by the latter part of the month. We'll sell two precinct 4 is going to sell one, truck as well, but 5 will have 2 outstanding.
Yeah, so we'll just have to re-recognize that revenue
Oh,
once it
okay,
comes in.
good, yeah, that makes me feel better.
So I was gonna ask that question. So we know it is sold, we've signed off on the sale of distributor, but we haven't received the funds yet.
That's correct. As of today, we have not received, well, as of yesterday, the bank account is,
Yeah, and it's,
bank
was
access
a,
is,
what'd they say, Matt, 21 days?
I believe that's correct.
And I'm not exactly sure, Judge, what the time is.
The 97-630 you said,
Mhm.
that's the tandem,
That's the new dump truck
The new
that
one.
we're picking up today.
okay.
And it's in and everything's done on it.
But we've got one to sell.
Yeah, no, we
We'd
don't
already
have
sold
one.
that.
We
sold that other one.
we sold the only one of them and we retained one of them.
Retained
Now,
one, okay.
we could always sell it if we needed to, but
Okay.
And the 94,000 that's currently in the bank account includes the transfer that we made from each precinct to cover the 296,000 new distributor that we bought.
Okay.
So can't really at this time take away that money and pay it back to the precincts because there's no money to take.
I don't think it's got anybody in a bind, do y'all?
As far as the precincts go,
Yeah,
I don't, no, I wouldn't think so.
and it'll give us the free board on the sale of those other trucks.
The 94,000 that's currently in the account, have we made the transfer that was in the budget for 2025, that 97,491 that was gonna be across all 4 precincts? Has that already been made, so that's reflected there?
I believe so.
I thought Mike had made it, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. I saw it in the budgeted items, it looked like, when I ran the munis report for the precincts, but I just wanted to make sure.
Tell us how that works, Matt. Like we budget, we don't specifically have a line until you give us one, I guess, that says precinct 5 transfers, but we put it in, where is it, Mac? Contingency?
Usually in contingency.
In contingency, knowing that you're gonna take money from us to move it to 5.
Right.
We all allocated money towards that endeavor in 25 to about the tone of $100,000 apiece, didn't we?
It was 97,491.
Okay, and, so, I don't know, did you take that money and spend the difference on the distributor?
No, that was done via that court order. So that was
Okay.
about 73,000 that came out for each precinct.
Oh, okay, okay.
I don't remember the date, but there were EFTs that were set. I remember receiving those last week.
Yeah, I'm checking it right now.
While he's checking that, basically, if I'm doing the math correctly, once the distributor sale comes in, I mean, it's essentially tapped out already. That money for the distributor sale is already encumbered for
Right,
the day cabs and this dump truck.
which that's what we had intended to happen, basically.
Yeah.
So the money was transferred from Jen to the Road and Bridge precincts, and I'm checking the 2025 budget now to see where it shows for the precincts to precinct 5. Because I do not show that one has been made. Bless you. Yes, so there was, like, Road and Bridge Precinct 1, there was 97,491 that was sent from Jen to Precinct 1. Precinct 2 received 141,000, Precinct 3, 118,000, and Precinct 4.
But that's our allocation
Right.
from,
There's not anything in the 2025 budget that shows a transfer
Out.
to Precinct 5. but I don't know that, I mean, since it's not currently budgeted, it would need a new order, but I don't know that with the sale of that distributor, with the sale of those other equipments, I mean, it would be a matter of what you want that fund balance to be to cover remaining
We
2025.
really don't need it to have a great balance at all. I mean, it's really you telling us what,
Yeah, I mean, as long as there's not gonna be any other large expenditures this year, I would
Well,
think that we're,
And that's one of the things that I think we'll talk about here, is whether we want to do pay-as-you-go or a balance transfer here at the beginning of the year. Just how, I mean, because ultimately, it's a policy decision really by the 4 precincts to make.
yeah, it
on.
doesn't, I mean, it's whatever you recommend to us, really.
we're averaging about $45,000 in just normal repairs and maintenance throughout the year.
Right.
That's what it looks like. With the acquisition of new equipment, that could go down, so, I mean.
I don't know, Matt, I'm afraid it goes the wrong way.
Well, repairs and all have become a much bigger segment than they ever have been. I mean, over the last few years, those things have just gone nuts. I mean, you can't, fix a sensor under the dash for
No.
less than $5,000 anymore. I mean, that's the world we live in.
We got the starter truck out of the shop this morning, 3/4 ton truck starter, $1,104.
Well, outrageous compared to where we were, 4 or 5 years ago.
But, the way I see that money gone when I put, the budget is approved, I see that money has disappeared. I don't look for that or anything, I just didn't, I mean, really just relying on you to say you made the transfer, but I
Well, it's all
consider it not
earmarked.
there.
Basically, it's all earmarked, so, unless we change directions, which we kinda did on that distributor, that was
Right.
a little different. It
Right.
didn't pan out exactly like we thought, but most times you don't have a major change of direction, it's not gonna change much anyway.
Right.
But even tires anymore, just.
Nearly
oh
doubled.
my gosh, it just take your breath away.
Yep.
And you can do 2 or 3 of them in one day.
So right now, there was not a transfer made to get everyone in there, okay?
So we're still setting on our encumbrances for precinct 5?
Right.
Okay.
And once we get the distributor in, the proceeds, we're gonna be about a positive 117.5. And that includes reducing out those day cabs. So, and then you're gonna sell the other
Sell
2.
those. Mhm.
So, I mean, right now, once all those things come across our plate, then it'll be healthy.
Right.
But, like I said, right now we're sitting at that 94,875. So if those day cabs come through and we don't have the proceeds, then we don't have the money to write the check.
What's the
Without a
delivery date
transfer.
on them? Like
This
3/7?
month, Josh told Jack that
He
he
was
thought.
talking about the middle of March this morning.
And Jack, when do y'all anticipate time, 1 and 3 are completely through with our gravel? When will that be? Will we be through by the middle of March?
Possibly.
Could I,
How many tons?
What do you like, Leon?
How many tons?
3,500 all total between
3,500.
precinct 3 and precinct 1 for that.
Yeah,
okay.
we're getting closer.
So-
Y'all need to borrow some money?
Yeah. Well, what I wanted to do, because he'll want to post those, I can go ahead and notify him. I'd rather us kind of be through where we can clean them units up, but I can
Well, that's
notify
what I
him.
told him this morning. We were still hauling rock with them. We may not be through by the time they come in. And he said that's just a maybe date.
close.
Yeah, no, what
Come
I,
in.
but what I meant, Jack, was Purple Wave, they'll want to post them at least 3 weeks ahead of the sale.
Oh,
And so, get a jump on that, and
And the slicker they are, the better.
the slicker they are, the better.
Leon, we'll be through by then, won't we? Or close?
Well, we can get the rock.
Well, that's a good point. We can't just go get all we want anymore.
Don't say that, knock on wood, Leon.
They had,
Forgot about that.
I've talked, been on the phone with them, and I cannot get them to, call me back and let me know how much I can get.
This is DeLisi?
Yes, sir.
It's on the 3/8 truck, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we did do a secondary, didn't
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
got secondary,
But-
tertiary, and
but Mickey-
secondary rock was
Worse.
last time we got it there, it was not usable.
we? Oh, okay.
That was the trouble we
Yeah,
got into
we went and
there.
got some and we won't go back.
Okay.
So we're in the hurt locker.
It's got a lot of clay.
Now,
clay-
5/8, I mean, I guess push come to shove, Leon, you could go that direction if you needed to.
If it's
Yeah, it
okay,
cost us
yes.
double than everyone else, so.
No, it's actually a little cheaper.
Well,
Well,
it
yeah,
costs you more because you have to use
the
more
oil requirement is the deal.
Oh, yes, yes.
But I understand we do have our machine where it'll handle it better. That's,
We're hoping, we
We're
adjusted,
hoping, yeah.
we adjusted on it a couple weeks ago.
yeah. That's good.
So right now, each of the precincts is transferred, what was the amount, 70?
73?
And we are only doing 5/8. So
Oh, y'all are?
And that's all we did too.
that's all.
Just 'cause
I'm-
that's all you could.
But it's what Leon was talking about. It's trouble and we're not getting washed rock and it just, the smaller you get, the more dirt you get.
We did get 5/8 washed, didn't we?
No,
It's not water.
they don't
Yeah.
have it,
Some of
Mick.
it was.
Yeah, the first stuff we got was, but
You know, in the winter time, you have trouble getting washed rock because freezing and stuff like that, so we don't have any freezers, you get it, but if it's starting to freeze, they just run rock and it's just dirty rock.
Which DeLisi didn't bid on wash, they only bid on unwashed.
Well, no, didn't they? They bid on wash.
They bid
but
on
mean
wash.
to bid on
And
wash.
selling us unwashed. So they didn't give us that credit that they were, isn't that the problem?
So, yeah, they're gonna give us the
50
unit
cent a
price
ton?
of $22.35, which is what they show on their bid, and on their invoice, they had $26.35.
Oh,
So they
okay.
credited us.
Ooh,
Until they
Yeah.
fixed it. Until they fixed it.
Right.
wow.
Now they won't.
Where did they get 26 from? Because that wasn't
That's-
even,
What their price was for. everyone
Wow.
else, So, we got a pretty significant savings.
is that, so me and Mickey both have that? Good.
Mhm. And then there was other ones where they charged us $21.85 for it, and we told them, and they're just go with that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, on those tickets that Jack's been giving me, it says 50 cent credit off of 22.35, deduct 50 cents because of unwashed.
Right, that's what the man told me up there, he said that's what we charge for wash rock, it's
Right.
not 50 cents a ton.
Right.
So what was the transfer amount?
it was $74,083
per
per
precinct.
precinct to cover the new distributor. Yes.
So if and when that check comes through on the sale of the distributor,
Those accounts will be reimbursed.
well, that's my question. Do y'all want those accounts to be reimbursed? Because
Yeah.
you're already
Well-
allocated for a.
But we need to make these purchases before we divvy up.
Clean up
I
the
mean,
list.
let the dust settle on the sale of even the trucks, and then let's talk about that question.
What purchases do we still have outstanding?
Those trucks.
The
Yeah, you
2-day
could-
trucks and that dump
Trucks.
Well,
truck.
$285,000.
And Mark, we've got a check coming of about $295.
so what all equipment do we actually need in precinct 5? I think that's a bigger question.
That is,
What actually belongs in precinct 5 and what should belong to the precincts?
that is why we are having this discussion today, is that's
How do we handle the zipper, the rented zipper? Does that come through precinct 5?
No,
or
it'll
just
come
handle it?
from me and you.
Whoever uses it.
Whoever uses it.
And what I did-
Well, I knew eventually it did, but I didn't know if we paid for it out of 5.
No.
What I did, what we and Jeff did mainly before is we broke it down into, because we are the
Day
only two that
work,
used
right.
it. We broke it down in per day cost and split it evenly for
Right.
whoever had it.
Yeah. But just the, I mean, outside of equipment, joint use equipment, what we hold are those trucks.
And I'll go ahead and chime in on what Mark was saying. What I probably have an issue with in this whole thing is we do need to figure out what we want to do with precinct 5, because I think precinct 4 doesn't have any dump trucks.
We have one.
One now. But, so if we shouldn't be using precinct 5 equipment to run our precinct if another precinct is not doing the same thing.
No, I'm just the
So-
opposite. You shouldn't be setting on equipment that you're not using.
No, I don't disagree. I've thinned
When
my equipment down a
the-
tremendous amount.
The 15-yard dump truck that you own, if you just used one of the precinct 5 dump trucks, make a lot more sense than you setting on a 15-yard dump truck that you don't use once in a blue moon for.
We use that dump truck more than any other dump truck we have.
Well, yeah, but that's not saying a lot.
That's why we need to
How
come
many
to a.
15-yard dump trucks do we need?
Yeah.
We need 4, if we need 4, then we each buy one and take it out of precinct 5.
Right. And everybody have their own.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong
Then-
with doing it that way either.
That's really, I think, the way we should be doing it.
And that's what I was unclear on, and why I wanted us to talk about this today is because, again, I don't know y'all's business like y'all do, but I wasn't quite able to jive with were all the precincts using precinct 5 the same way. Did we have some equipment that was for specific precincts that didn't make sense for it to be there anymore, or and I just wanted us to have the discussion to see.
Well, Mark,
Do
do
we
you
have a-
have a 15-yard dump truck?
Yeah.
How many?
One.
And Mickey, you have one, I know, because
I
it's,
got one.
and you've got one.
And if you had another one of them
That's 4.
$15 ones, I'd sure take it.
But and so that would give us 4 trucks to operate. If we bought one, that'd give us 4 trucks and we could sell what we got in precinct 5.
Yeah. But the
Yeah, the
same.
big deal is to have them available for chip seal.
That's the whole
big
deal. That's the
Yeah,
only
the whole
deal. I mean, we got dump trucks to haul little load of gravel.
But we
here.
also, do you have little dump trucks also?
Mhm.
Do you?
We do, yeah.
Yeah.
You have little ones too?
Yeah.
So, we use them little ones
My
during
mighty
chip seal.
minds.
We probably got more than we need, as a matter of
But
fact.
Mick, it's a waste of time. I mean, you haul a 6-yard load of gravel
Yeah,
to
they
the
don't
chip
last.
spreader. Do what?
I said you can't haul enough with them small ones. I
No,
realize.
it's a pain. I mean, you use what you got, but that's why
Well-
we've always doubled up and we've had the ability to feed you get in some of our locations out on the edge, and it takes a turnaround is quite some time.
That's the problem. We've always used those little trucks when you get in tight spots. They just work better than trying to turn a tandem.
Now, my question to our foremans is, this is probably more of a question for them, is 4 15 yards enough to haul all the gravel for chip seal? Do we have enough drivers and trucks? Do we have enough drivers to run all of our dump trucks? Because I don't know that we do.
If you put 2 on the chip sealer.
Precinct
you may not.
1's got drivers for every truck.
What I'm getting at is if you take two of my precinct 2 guys and put them on a distributor,
Yep.
and that takes half my crew.
But I've got 4
That's what
CDL
I'm-
mix.
That's what I'm getting at. That's what matters is is that how we're doing it right now? We're using 4 15 yards and 4 little trucks? Is that about what we're using?
We're trying
No.
to try to have enough drivers for all the trucks.
It sounds like to me we should be using at least 5 15 yards, and now we're able to use 6 15 yards. Because we're now 3 deep in precinct 5 with 15 yards, and each one of these guys have a 15-yard. So we'd be able to run 6 15-yard trucks, chip seal time, the way I'm seeing it.
We run our medium trucks with chip
We
seal,
run-
so
we run
12 yard.
Every one, 15 yard.
Yeah, the 12s are pretty good sized trucks.
Yeah, so that's, we have 2 of those.
Yeah.
So we have 15 and 2 12s.
And generally speaking, we have approximately around 9 to 10 trucks running.
9 to 10.
Yeah. Of course, somebody calling sick, vacation, you know.
Right.
Pops that out, but.
Well, and you get on some of those long runs too, that makes a difference.
Well, yeah.
That's what kills you there.
Yeah.
Or you get a long ways away from that rock pile.
Right, but those 12s aren't no big deal, but the closer you can get to those 9 trucks being 15 yards, the better off you're gonna be.
More consistent.
Jeff, I think you brought this up last year, maybe. Does it make, since we only use those for one specific time of year, I mean, I think you may have run the numbers and I think we may have decided it wasn't worth it on renting versus
Well,
owning.
we couldn't qualify on the lease.
Oh, the
That was the
insurance.
killer. It made a lot of sense. Mark had talked to me about it 2 years ago, and the numbers make the most sense. No one will insure us.
Well,
And the
availability.
In the availability
You may or
during
may
chip
not
seal
have it.
season,
Yeah.
you can't hardly find it.
Yeah.
Well, but what Jim's talking about, Mick, is that we talked about leasing, keeping on lease the truck and the day cabs, but we couldn't get anybody to underwrite that, and they wouldn't take our TAC insurance.
I do
And-
remember that.
Because we could go to, they might have rider on the side of them, but we could go to day cabs like that,
Would
and
it-
it would save us a bunch, but
Would it make sense to get a secondary rider policy on a leased truck?
well, I
outside
couldn't
of
get the
TAC?
rider mark because
Tried.
of the counties. You know, we don't have a commercial application in our CDL the
Because
way
our-
we do CDL.
Because counties are limited on their liability
Yeah.
range, that's why, that's
That's
what
it.
Phil.
So
The
you-
bottom line is,
they
we're
won't-
not easy to sue.
No, they wanted $1 million, Mark, to cover, and TAC said, no way. We can't even if you got sued, we can't pay it. So
But we can't go out to farmers and get an insurance policy.
I went to Hibbs and Hallmark in Dallas where we had all our trash trucks and they wouldn't touch us.
Wouldn't touch it.
But, and it's that dilemma, it's that $250,000 dilemma there.
You know something that just dawned on me, it's amazing how you think of something. What's the upcharge on that wash, on that gravel?
50 cents is
60
what
cents
they're
a ton.
telling us.
Think about that for a minute. They're charging you 50 cents to spray water on it, and then you're buying the water.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, think about that.
No.
That's what Jimmy says. Jimmy said he'd just soon buy the Dusty and
wash it
wash it in
yourself.
their yard.
9
As
times
long- as
out
long
of
as you
10,
have
we
free
wind
water
up
anyway.
spraying the rock pile anyway.
Yeah, we do too. You're getting an upcharge, and then you're buying the water for rock price.
Yep.
Pretty good gig.
But we're open either way. If we need to take one of those trucks for 4 and sell, or 5 and sell the other 2, if 4 15 yards would be enough for chip seal season, I'm just hearing that it's not.
Well, we need to be efficient when we go run. That's the bottom line. The dollars are gonna vary a little, but that's not, I don't think that's the first consideration. When that machine's running, we need it to run, and we need it to run consistently and all that. We don't need to be backed up, waiting on trucks.
But it's really not fair for Mark to go out there and run 4 trucks,
Well,
and
I-
we've all thrown one in the mix. I mean, that's not fair either.
Well, that's immaterial, because we're all out there
It is
doing-
immaterial, it's
we're
all
all-
taxpayer money.
Yeah,
We're all doing the same thing with
That's
each
right.
other. It's not fair to me when y'all run 20 miles and I run 10,
Right,
as far as that goes. But
right.
that's a circular argument. we've all decided it's in our best interest to all work together to complete our
Right,
project.
I
so-
agree.
And
I don't
most of
care
the
if I've
time,
got
over an
5
extended
people
period of
driving,
time,
or-
it levels out.
Yeah.
It does from time to time. Hmm.
So,
So is
But
that,
what-
oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. You're-
Well, I was gonna
you're
ask,
first.
so is that mostly, what precinct 5, the equipment's used for is chip sealing then?
For the most part.
Okay, we
Got
own
some
we own the
fringes.
excavator, we own a skid steer, do we not?
Yes.
And I don't
We
know
own
that
the
the
day
skid
cabs.
steers, the skid steer stays at precinct 1? Is that where it stays?
Well, yeah, but I mean, we've used, Jack needs it, he coordinates Leon and Leon. will
Am I the
bring it.
only other one that has a skid steer? See, and I
But you
think,
use it.
Till next week.
Now you've got to use it though, Mickey, you kinda made the application. We don't think about it because we don't have one, and we're gonna try to get that when Mark trades. But you've incorporated it into your work now because y'all have got it. We don't think about it like in the shop unloading something. Heck, that'd be the thing to have, but we're not in that mindset.
well,
In
the only,
In years to come, a skid steer will be like a backhoe.
Yeah.
You're gonna need one.
just like.
The
that-
the
just
only
like
reason
this
we
one.
have a precinct 5 skid steer is because I wanted one and I had no money for the first 3 years I was here, if y'all remember, because the way my auditor treated me.
To be clear, not.
So the only way I can make that purchase was to purchase it through precinct
Yeah,
5.
but I mean, that works out, it works
It-
out just
okay.
fine.
But everyone's used it, but it's been, it stays at our precinct, so.
Yeah.
The problem with owning a skid steer is you gotta own as many attachments as you do skid steer.
Yeah.
I mean, the money is.
But the cost of it's considerably down. All I wanna try to do is keep it fair. If each one of us has a 15-yard, then Jeff should probably have a 15-yard, and there should be 2 in precinct 5, if that's what we wanna
Yeah.
do. I just think it should be fair across the board. If we're gonna have a skid steer in one, or in each one, I think a skid steer is getting handy enough nowadays where probably
We're gonna
everybody should
need
have
one in
one.
every.
But-
Yeah, I'm
every
buying one
house.
next week, so it's
So-
on the agenda.
And I just think we are to make sure that our equipment's being equally used. I mean, and this is where I ran into it, I think Mark and me had both said this. If precinct 2 hasn't used a 15-yard dump truck out of precinct 5 this year, but we're still paying a fourth of the maintenance on it when it's used for dirt work or cleaning ditches or trees or whatever it is, precinct 2 is still paying maintenance fees out of that. And that's the only thing that I see that I don't really like. It might all even out in the wash, but it don't appear to be right up front.
Jack, how often do you use a 15-yard in the course of this year? I mean, how long are you using it every day?
No.
When do you, tell me, just in this thinking about since the first of the year, how have you used one?
I don't know that I've used one since, well, maybe I used one a little bit for cleaning out one ditch I had.
But that's my point, Mick, is that it doesn't make any sense for you to own one. I'd rather share the cost of owning a 15-yard than solely pay for the cost of owning a 15-yard.
And I'm not opposed to that either. Put them all in there. That's what I'm saying, just. as
To
long as it's
me, it would be more cost effective because I just don't think that if we were saddling up one every single day and going out and working, that'd be different. But we put in their hard work during chip sealing, and then the rest of the time it's hit and miss.
Well, and this is what goes back to it again. If all the 15 yards were owned by each precinct, they're all owned by precinct 5, and we keep one at our yard. If you've got a guy over there driving yours that's tougher on ours, we're still paying for maintenance on yours for a guy not taking care of it.
Well, that's going to happen.
And it's gonna be that way either way, but I'm just saying, are you gonna keep them all at 1 yard, or are you gonna keep them all at each? Because I tell you that, keeping them all at precinct 4, precinct 1, it's a pain when you need your dump truck and you have to go somewhere else to get it
Well,
from.
now, we've had the biggest part of last year, one of the 15 yards stayed at Barry's the most of the time because they were using dump trucks for quite a regular, but no, they're not in our way per se because we do have nice shed facilities, but
That's where can you house them?
yeah, that's
a big
where we
deal.
put them under cover.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that I like that going through Jack when there's maintenance issues, because then he knows we're not scattered to the wind on trying to understand what the problem is. But, no, it doesn't matter to me at all, really. It's just hard to keep up with it, Mick, when it's jointly owned and it's just not being an eye over the top of it.
If you're saying that it's hard to keep up with jointly owned, then that's kind of arguing about.
Jointly owned is fine and dandy as long as it's reporting back to one place. It's when you don't, and you think, how'd this fender get busted? Well, we don't know.
Right.
We don't know what happened there. That's what ends up happening.
So right now, for the stuff that's in precinct 5, general ongoing maintenance is it goes to precinct 5, and then therefore, essentially it's being paid for out of 5, so it's being paid for out of all 4 equally. But specific repairs, what is paid for on precinct 5 owned equipment by the individual precinct?
Nothing really, unless it's, for example, we backed into one of Mark's trucks in a precinct 5 truck. Precinct 4 paid for that damage because that was not caused by precinct 5. It was a precinct 5 piece of equipment. But that, so only in that instance would anything be, if it was negligence that was being negligently treated, would we ever do that? Otherwise, it just flows right through, gets repaired. And
so when precinct 3 uses one of the precinct 5 trucks to go bring rock back, the fuel, is that charged to 5 or to 3?
3. Fuel keeps up with itself, like when Mickey hauled, he filled up the belly dumps. When we're hauling, we fill up the belly dumps. And Mark will do the same, and Barry will do the same.
You get them full, you send them full. But that's how we're doing it, Jack.
Yeah,
I thought that's what the program.
We don't have any.
Two examples. One, our excavator, one of my guys cleaning out a ditch for a bridge repair, knocked the mirrors off of it. Precinct 2 eat the cost of the mirrors because we had to fix it, we broke it.
Yeah.
Precinct 2 hauling a load of gravel, got to the scales up there in DeLisi, the brakes locked up. They had to be drug off the scale house. That wasn't going down the road intentionally doing anything, but those brakes locked up, a mechanical failure there at the yard, had to be dragged off to get fixed. That wasn't my driver's fault, wasn't doing anything negligent, it was a mechanical failure. That's a precinct 5 expense.
And that's the way we look at it.
If he'd have been driving down the road and his brakes locked up and his smoke's going everywhere and he just keeps dragging it, me and him would have probably not got along very good, but that would have been paid for by precinct 2.
Yeah, we typically know what and very seldom are there instances where we have to do something individually.
Well, the good thing is if you've got good late model equipment and you've got warranty handling most of the normal wear and tear stuff, things that happen, you get your warranty handling that. Now, if you run a tire or some of those day-to-day, they go knock a mirror off or whatever, then it's a little easier to sort out.
Sure.
So do y'all think that the equipment that's in 5, I guess this gets to the core of the question, do y'all think that's what's listed and currently in 5 is the correct equipment that should be in 5, or does it?
What all is in 5 currently?
15 yards and
3
belly
of them?
dumps. 4 belly dumps and day cabs.
If you want to, this is what
Excavator,
our TAC insurance has
skid
listed for
steer,
each precinct, but-
Distributor.
Yeah, and I don't know, Judge,
And
what
again,
might not be
I
on
think-
there.
know if it's
And I
correct
think
or not.
if on the 15 yards, either they all should be, we should all own one and then add precinct 5, or we should not any of us own one and they would all be precinct 5.
What y'all's thoughts about that?
I think we all
Doesn't
should
matter
own
to
one.
us.
And if we need more than 4,
I agree.
I think everybody should have.
And that's one thing that I think we need to probably include our foreman on more in this discussion than we do in most, but I mean, I do agree that I think it's better to have one. Do y'all agree with that? All
Yes.
3 of y'all?
Yes.
Yep.
So everybody should have one. Should we have that many? Should we all have a 15-yard and a small one? Maybe that's where we need to be. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
yeah, the rest is overkill.
Because I don't mind, I mean, what do we have, 3 little trucks?
We'll see, we're about to get
Standard
to
ain't
a
no
point, We're gonna need to
Standard
do
ain't
something
no
with our.
But we
smaller-
got three. I
Yes.
mean, I could get rid of, what I'm saying is I can get rid of two.
We're to the point, we need to do something with our smaller trucks, we put it off, and it's been fine, we've made it work, but it's getting to where they become a financial liability, because, once again, they don't care if it's a 97 model or a 14, when it rolls in that shop, it costs you $5,000 to fix it, it's just.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to do some updating, and I think we can eliminate a couple of them when we do it.
Well, my 12s are new, so. Or
How many total dump trucks, Mark, are you setting on?
I've got the two 12s, I've got the 15, and we've got a small four.
Four trucks. all.
15, two 10 yards and an 8 yard.
See, we've got 4 of those small trucks.
And we've
And
got
we-
115 and two, what are they, 9 yards?
Probably 8.
Eight.
What do y'all have, Jeff?
Just the one little truck.
So it sounds like y'all are the outlier from what, because Barry
Just
wasn't
not
going-
having, I sold my 15-yard to Barry.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'd take another one if you had that. Then he fixed it for me.
Yeah.
That's part.
Yeah.
But this only shows a case loader on it.
Well, and that's what, I don't know if that is an accurate reflection of what's actually used and how it's.
The loader doesn't, the loader doesn't on there, no.
Yeah,
Toyota forklift shouldn't be on there.
yeah.
Case steel wheel roller shouldn't be on there. John Deere backhoe shouldn't be on there. Motor grader should not be on there.
What are you on?
I'm going through the first.
Oh, that's precinct 1.
Oh,
Precinct,
Yeah.
precinct 5 is gonna be on page.
There's almost
Y'all can have it, and I'll pay my fee every month.
I'll pay.
okay, so Ettenhire,
So it's,
Okay.
it's gonna be everything from here down.
okay, so we've got the,
I don't see.
rock box.
Go back one picture.
We've got 2 wood chippers.
Here down.
We've got
That's
the
precinct 4.
attachments for
No,
all
precinct
the skid steer. We've got the asphalt zipper. That's right. We've got a John Deere, skid steer. We've got the grinder for the skid steer. Reclaimer, we don't own a Caterpillar reclaimer.
That was just on there for 30 days.
Okay.
Did it renew in July for,
$954,000.
What is that gyro track? Is that the,
that's the grinder that goes on the skid steer.
okay.
We've got this John Deere tractor, we own it, but the trucks aren't, oh, that's because they're different, Judge.
They're gonna be
under
on
a
the
different
auto.
policy.
Okay.
So this is, everything is right here except the,
The 954.
So
the Caterpillar reclaimer.
Well, they've got your Gopher machine on my list there, yeah.
Well, the only,
And which list they're on honestly doesn't really
okay.
matter.
Okay.
This was more for just
Yeah.
having the list of the equipment to be able to know what's 5.
now, Jim, let me ask you too, these are all paying out of general fund?
Mhm.
It makes me not scrutinize them so hard.
Well, we can certainly start putting the specific precincts if that's how y'all want to move forward.
So really, the only thing in my mind that needs to be in precinct 5 are the 2 rock boxes, the 2 distributors,
4 rock boxes.
the 2 rock boxes. We got 4?
We own four long haul trucks, Mark.
No, it's
No,
the
we're
rock
talking-
boxes, the.
Rock
chip
spreader.
Oh, we
chip-
only,
chip
yeah, we
spreader.
only have 1 rock box now.
Only one. And now we will have only one distributor.
Uh,
Right, well, we're gonna keep that.
we're gonna
for the
keep it this
season.
year,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
then,
Right,
Excavator.
the excavator,
Yeah, I can see the excavator, because none of us use it that much.
And that's kind of where I'm at.
And maybe the accessory tools to the skid steer loader, the grinders. because
but now we're soon to sell all that.
We are?
Well, aren't you gonna buy a new one?
I'm buying a new skid steer.
Yeah,
I'm
and
not
we're
buying
gonna
all
buy
those
the
new
old one.
accessories.
I think some of the accessories.
I'm talking
Oh,
about the
yeah.
accessory packages, so
Yeah,
we
that,
don't all need to own.
Why would you not? I mean, I don't understand why most of these accessory packages are priced where they're at, because a bucket for a skid steer is
No,
not
the
$5,000.
bucket and the forks are fine. I mean, you should own those with the skid
And
steer.
even
but
truthfully, an auger is a very inexpensive attachment. It's no more so than an auger nowadays, $1,300. They're not expensive.
A grapple. Usually a pretty good thing to have.
But
we don't own a grapple, do we? Fork with the claw on top of it?
I don't think we do.
Not to my house.
Now, the brush cutter, what kind of brush cutter is that? Is that a mower?
It's a mower.
That's just a mower?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's something, if, a mower deck should be individually owned by the precinct. If you're gonna have a skid steer.
Yeah. It's gonna take the most damage.
Yep. The wood chippers, we have our own wood chipper. I don't think
No,
those.
you've got a
that's
precinct
a
5 wood chipper, but it needs to, Mick, that's one of the things that we
It's-
need to apply for the
Oh.
grant on.
Another one.
A new one, our
Okay.
chippers are getting old.
We got two going.
That one at the yard is precinct 5 too?
Uh-huh,
I didn't know that.
yeah. You got the smaller one, we've got, precinct 5 owns a smaller one and a bigger one. So, but yours is the oldest one, Jim, the one you're using,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And the boom tractor with the mower, I don't know, when did we get it? You know,
Last
John?
summer.
Last summer, I guess. I went to using it in November of this year.
You have not let go of it since you got it.
I'm still,
Have we used it yet?
anytime, any day that it's decent enough for the people to be outside, it's not 7 degrees, we've been cutting with it.
Yeah, we've been on the list asking for a long time,
Yeah,
so we're
that's
next.
what,
Well, I've
I'd
got,
say too.
Mickey, I think I've got 4 or 5 more roads left. It's been let go for
Me
so
too.
long, it's growed up, it's slow process.
Now, we hadn't cut in no time.
I got River Rat Road that you can't even drive down because of all the.
Well, that's why, we've got one Huntington over there, you couldn't hardly drive down it.
But I don't know on that
Not
machine
mirrored, though.
if we'd be better to, you got it for a month and we got it for a month, do some rotating here, cause
Well,
we'd
once
like
we-
to, we'd like to try it out too.
But Mick, there's, we could, once we get it done, we're gonna be in good shape for hopefully 3-year period of time before we're back on the deal. There's plenty of time. We hadn't had one in 25, 30 years.
I know.
And so, we've just had catchers catch can as way, I was using Faith Mission forever to keep mine.
That's why I bought my own for a skid steer.
Will it not reach high enough?
16 foot.
Well, that's pretty good.
Go ahead.
Just, well, for the best, for moving forward, how do y'all want to proceed from the standpoint of, it does sound like everyone's in agreement that there should be maybe some changes to what equipment is in 5, but it sounds like for you, for precinct 4, that's going to mean that y'all absorb or get one of the, for yours. How do we want to, if that's true, how do we want to handle that?
Well, I think
'Cause
we
you
just
probably didn't
buy
budget for that.
We buy that older truck for 60,000 and call it good.
And I guess, what's the best way forward to look at the equipment and
For 60,000.
talk to your
I
foreman?
thought he was gonna
and-
try to sell it for 120. I don't think so.
What is the road tractor, is that what you're looking at?
No, that is, yes, we're
You're
geared
gonna
up
need
to
one.
buy the road tractor but we can certainly, I can fold those into our equipment note and do both of them, so that's not an issue.
If that's the case, I'd like to buy that one too and just trade mine back to 5. I'll just trade
Buy
mine.
it for
even.
120,000 with
Yeah,
25%
I mean,
discount.
Wait a minute.
You need to buy a new one if that's the case, because yours still got some good value on it, but it's a 15 it's like a 18, isn't it, Jim? I can't remember.
Well, if you're
We
gonna
had
sell a
sister-
fifteen yard
it
for
was one of
60,
the-
I want it. That's
It was one of the first ones y'all bought.
Yeah, we bought one and then y'all turned right around right then and bought that one, so
Yeah.
it was, but we,
It's
2
a-
trucks gone from there, Jim.
Yeah, it's an 18.
So moving best way forward then, y'all to get with your foreman, figure out what the precinct 5 equipment list should look like, and then we'll
But we could all take a end dump and a truck too, and then
You want
everybody
to
be
go
on
out.
their own.
Belly
Nick
dump?
had that way, last time too. He had his own end dumping trailer. We sold it because we used out of precinct 5, but that would just free us all up to be a little more equal in that regard, and everybody take one. Cause we've
Fine with
got,
that.
And take precinct 5 out of the dump business. in other words.
take them out of the dump business. We all show up and haul.
I'm good with that.
That'd be okay too, and
Leave
that
our
would
two.
eliminate precinct 5 from holding some more of that stuff.
Leave our 2 road tractors in precinct 5.
No, we wouldn't have any road tractors left, Barry. Everybody take a tractor and a belly dump.
So we'd just disperse all the trucks out of precinct 5 basically.
And we,
Except we'd still have 2 dump trucks if I bought one.
I'm gonna look forward to one of the commissioner's motions on this in the
Well,
future to get us where we need to be.
let me ask you, is there any problem if we took one of the new dump trucks, the new one that just come in,
who?
precinct 4?
I think we ought to do it by the youngest commissioner. I mean, I'll take the new one, and you can have it. I mean,
But we know,
if we're picking, I mean, why not go that way?
we know
Very sorry.
We bought it through Bible
Have you
Board.
ever handled an age discrimination suit?
And do you have any thought, and then do the transaction out of your budget for
Yes.
whatever that value is?
Yes, and then we can equally all agree on the value of the day cab. I told Mickey this week that I was watching a day cab, a 22 model, which is older than ours, newer than ours. There's a 22 model on Purple Wave right now at 30 grand. It'll inch up, it'll bring more, but those day cabs will surprise you that they won't bring what. But we could all take, Matt could tell us what that would be and divvy it up, and since we're selling them to ourselves and everybody gets one, it wouldn't be that big. We don't have to run them through the auction or nothing. I was gonna buy the day cab through the auction using an agent, but won't have to do that if we do it this
Well, no
way.
need paying a fee on it.
Right, I just gotta put a wet kit on mine to pull the dozer with, and y'all may want to all do that same thing, put wet kits on yours to buy your dozer with, so.
I'd just soon rent my dozer from you if I need it. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't mind doing that. If you have a big piece of equipment and precinct 2 needs it, I'd just soon rent it from you as I had to go rent it from Passcode or Caterpillar or something like that.
Yeah, it's not, that's
If-
never.
if you-
If you call Jack, he'll loan it to you.
Yeah.
You see- It's just, I'm just in being fair, because there is a lot of expense to own a back. I mean, a dozer, there's a lot of things that happen on dozers that cost a lot of money to fix.
Sure.
And I'd rather rent it from you than take the gamble of breaking it while I have it and then have to. use
Well,
it.
or we've come push up whatever we need to push up. It's never an issue. It's not hard. But we would like to, if we're going to, do the 15, do y'all wanna sell the other 2 15s or do you wanna keep them?
That's gonna run into them. What they were saying earlier, we might need to keep them 2 in there. Or do we not? I mean, you're saying that we need those trucks.
Well,
We
Leon
sure need
said,
them when we get over on precinct 2.
Buy one for our shop, we'll have 2.
And buy one for precinct 3.
Any place you get over there, you're just hauling out of one rock
We
pile.
could get rid of 2 of
Right.
the little trucks.
That's when them 15s really have.
Well, I planned on buying one of them when we rotated out the fleet anyway. So,
And it might be smart to have 2 15s and not have any little ones for us. Cause I use the little 1 tons for all our patch stuff.
Right, those little trucks come in handy when we gypsy them.
What we
Do they?
do,
Yes, they do.
what we do have is, we've got an old Ford dump truck. It's a 6-yard with the side boom on it. It's not used very much, but Precinct 5 does own it. And I mean, y'all don't,
We don't need to get rid of that, it's handy as a pocket on the shirt.
okay, but if
Actually,
we ever,
I like that. I don't know that. I like that.
Real good for shoulder work.
so at some point in time, it needs to we need to put that side boom on something cause there's a day that's coming that thing's gonna be
Yeah, it's not
really long in the tooth.
Hell, I don't even know what
About a 90 model.
it is.
It's about what I am.
It's an old wore out TxDOT truck, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
kids.
Okay. Just as a reminder to everybody that while this discussion may be riveting to us and you're wondering why everyone's being subjected to the Road and Bridge Precinct 5 talk in court, this is the only way legally we can discuss this stuff, and so that's why we do it this way.
Fascinating.
I guess then I'll rely on one of y'all to
Let's,
figure out where we
Yeah.
actually arrived at. And
But
then
if
we'll put it
everybody's
on the
okay with
agenda.
owning a truck in a rock box, a day cab in a rock box,
Are all the trucks that we're talking about automatics now?
yes.
All of them?
A day
I got
cab,
the
Every
last
one.
belly
You
dump,
got
not
the
a rock
last
box.
one there.
Yeah.
Well, that makes a difference.
But.
What
if
are the
ev-
difference in your models though? Because I think
Nothing, they're all the same.
all the belly dumps, day cabs are all the
Yeah.
same year?
Yeah, well, there's one older one, but it's the least used one maybe.
All we got to do is.
Because
install
it's sat under the dozer for a while, we rented it, and then we ended up buying it for Precinct 5. But it got no use, and that's when we decided to buy, we found a trailer to go on it, and so we jumped in there and bought that truck.
if they're all, that's it, put numbers in the hat and we'll draw for them.
That sounds like a good plan to me.
If they're all pretty equal.
Yeah.
That's
They're all
probably-
about 40,000 miles or,
They're getting around 60, 65.
But they've been well maintained.
Oh, yeah.
We can even do a charity pay-per-view for the
We could.
I like your idea, put all the numbers.
Drawing
in.
applause.
Well,
Jack 7 is the one that works
That way
for that
somebody
wet
don't get
kit
stuck
good, right?
Right.
So, mark
Because that
the,
ought to be.
there-
if y'all wouldn't mind to draw for the 3 trucks, the other 3, 7 is the one that lets us do a wet kit on the best. And I have to have a wet kit to pull that dozer. We're gonna sell the truck we bought from Mickey.
I will have to put a wet kit on one if we get one, Mark.
So,
Draw for them all.
That one we got off of Mickey's, a little cream puff, anybody?
well, yeah, that's
Well,
a
you ain't
pretty bug,
lying.
and we've only spent about 25,000.
No, Mickey, we're not buying it back.
running.
Well, let's,
Y'all had
let
that-
our foremen talk and discuss, they're the ones that use them. Y'all come up with a plan and tell us what equipment we each need to
Okay.
own.
And then we can get that on an agenda for actual, for action.
I think we know the direction we want to go with this.
Yeah.
That'd be a
Now,
good
but
idea.
I'm unclear on the 15 yards. So we're gonna take one, and does somebody else want to buy any others?
I think everyone's gonna keep one and there's gonna be 2
We might.
and 5.
We
Yeah.
might,
We planned on getting.
if you're gonna start selling them off,
Barry wanted one.
Yeah.
then one of those might be better than one of we have, or we might take a second one, if we're gonna sell them off.
I would buy another one. And then we'll keep the newest little blue one we got.
But I'm not opposed to having two.
So 15
We do
yards
haul
would
everything,
be-
Precinct 2 has to drive a long ways to
21
the
miles.
gravel. We have a long way to
Truck
drive.
we had, that
Yeah, we
consisted
made
of your
that.
truck, we
We
saw
thought we better off to sell it over.
Yes.
when we got this, when Precinct 5 got the last unit.
That's just something.
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
I got
Well,
the
we
one
might
I
can
got was
absorb
one
all
of the
the
very
trucks
first ones
then,
I got.
that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lee was.
Yeah, let's come back in a couple
We
weeks with the plan.
We
Yeah.
got
Okay.
one.
Well,
Good idea.
I think it's good that we have this because we know
Yeah.
that there's some changes that need to be made and have the broad direction to go on that. And it sounds like everyone largely agrees that until all the dust settles on all the purchases and sales of these, don't do anything with returning the funds to the
That'd be better.
precincts.
Yeah.
Okay.
If there is a cream puff 6-yard out there that is gonna get sold, let's do a trade and get out from under that old Tex Dot truck and put the side boom on the newer truck. But now, if there's not, just don't. We'll just upgrade at the appropriate time. It's just, I just,
Turn that off, I would.
Jeff, if we get one of those 15 yards, and if Nikki agrees, it's a 2009 and a 2010, either International or Freightliner.
yeah,
I mean, there's nothing wrong with them.
no, okay.
Two of our trucks, or two of them small.
Or you
trucks
can
are
have
pretty-
that old 97 International.
We've got one of those, Jimmy.
Got one with him.
Nobody's getting my 61 Dodge, though. That's ours.
Okay,
All right.
So is, now, I will say one other thing. You're buying a
Skid
skid steer, and you're gonna buy a precinct 5 skid steer?
I want to buy all that stuff.
You wanna buy all the attachments and all
That's right.
across the board. You better get you some attachments or you're
The
gonna
only
be-
thing I
We'll get
can't
these
buy,
skid
the
We'll get
only
forks
thing I
and
can't
buckets.
buy is the auger. It's gotta stay in precinct 5, the grinder, because that's the way we
steers. Grind the trees.
have that with the grant. I mean, I hate to go back and say, well, yeah, we jointly were using this, now we just own it. I don't.
As
wanna
long
have
as
to get-
everybody has a high flow with a door on it, they can use the same grinder
Yes.
when they need it. That grinder's expensive.
And Leon, that's one thing I would say about when you look at that new one, that high flow is important.
Yeah, I've talked to him. I think we're gonna be good.
So Barry keeps a good fund balance. Barry needs to buy a skid steer. So,
Good looking out for you.
We're gonna need one.
I tell you, they're just getting.
There's just something about having money in the bank, though, that's very comfortable.
The most money.
There's just something about that.
That's what Monopoly is built on.
That's right.
So is this only about
All right.
precinct?
Okay.
So from Road and Bridge Precinct 5 to RV parks. Let's go to item number 2. Discussion on proposed recreational vehicle park, tiny homes, and campground facilities regulations. Everybody should have the up-to-date RV park regulations. This is not meant to be a time to page-by-page walk through it. I hope everyone's had the chance to read it, but rather to talk about questions you may have, thoughts, concerns, potential edits, because I would like for us to be able to post, get our public hearing on this, and adopt them sooner rather than later. So,
Well,
Yes, sir.
I know that a couple of times that, and Van, hats off to you, Van, for putting all this cumulative, you reached out and got some different ones, and that really helped. And I know that the couple of times that we went through it and changed a couple of things, and Mickey helped us one time as well, I'm just scared, and I'd asked Mark yesterday to take a look because I didn't want to not be thinking about something that just, because I read it, I think about it, but if I didn't read it, I wouldn't necessarily think about it, so, but I think they're very important, and then following up, Judge, right after we do the tiny home RV campground facility, we move to the manufactured home. Because he's well down the road with having that together.
oh, didn't you know there's a third one coming? Okay, that's awesome. My biggest question in going through it, where are our enforcement teeth? If someone decides to put in one, doesn't come talk to the commissioner first, doesn't properly plat, and ends up, what are our enforcement teeth that are envisioned in this? they may be there and I just missed it, or
We'd have to
No,
talk to our
it's not in
DA's
there,
office.
Judge.
Well, I know for the regular subdivisions, you can go to DA for those, and I don't know if the RVs are different.
I think they would fall under the DA also.
It probably is, you're probably right about that, I'm not so sure on the RV, but I know for the subdivision, we have some enforcement ability, we can try to enforce the subdivision rules.
They're court orders. If you have, if it's a countywide court order, it's essentially a law, but I think you would have to get your,
they're doing it
Yeah.
probably under the same subdivision enforcement
I don't
authority.
think there is a lot on that, I mean, there's not a lot of detail on some of that, so.
unless you wanna write it into it, and then you would, if you wrote it into it, then you could have the sheriff's department take care of the enforcement. But I agree, that's
See, that's something, I do think about enforcement, but I never thought how you did it. I just assumed.
I don't know how active a lot of counties are with, I mean, I don't know. I haven't heard much of that.
I mean,
In the
if,
places where it's been a problem, they're pretty active.
They I mean, I think
Out
they
in West
have to be.
Texas.
Yeah, somebody's, you know.
my
Yeah.
question
on
is,
top
how
of
does
that.
this would be another, the DA's question, but
Mhm.
if somebody's building one, we find out, hey, they're
Yeah.
putting in a trailer park or something out here west of Burke and they didn't go through any of our stuff, can y'all go out there and do a stop work, shut it down, file suit? I mean, something has to be done, so what?
Yeah, that, I don't know all the, like I said, the details of how it all, the mechanics of it, I'm not sure. I think it would have to incorporate the sheriff's department in some way. I think you'd probably have to. I don't know that, I mean, I'm not riding out there to go and jump on them, but.
Judge, you're in the back there, do you have any, input on that?
What it,
No, my only thing was, and that's kind of the purpose I'm here today, just to kind of see where things are going, because we're trying to stay on top of things with like Airbnbs, with those picking up and kind of where the eviction and where people can come to enforce somebody getting out of their property. And I think what I've seen also that's been kind of going around the state is with the flow of individuals going farther north through the state, you've got people that are opening up land for anybody to come live on. And then they're not coming to city and county government for authorization of that, but they're letting people camp on their property. They're letting people live on their property. Thankfully, we don't have that here, but that's something that you never know could happen. So that's another reason why.
They're not even subdividing or making, it's not even a money-making deal.
Correct. They're just allowing transients to live on their land or off their land, so there's no housing whatsoever. But that's why, you know, I'm just kind of curious to see that this was on the agenda, and we just want to be prepared for whatever does happen in the future so that the JP courts can be there for assistance, not only for city and local, but also for landowners that are developing for that.
And I'm assuming, Judge, that, I mean, in what I think about Airbnb a lot of times, and it's this, I see it at Electra, to take a storage building and to complete it out, and maybe with a room and one room to include the kitchen and a bathroom secluded, but the bed and everything's all in the main room. That's what we envisioned as tiny homes when we put this together here, and we didn't specify actually a square footage size to those, but Airbnbs, you see them, they could be a whole range of things, from a tiny home to a regular 2-bedroom house, right?
3-bedroom,
3-bedroom, whatever.
Right. I mean, we see a lot of that come hotter than hell 100 time, where people are opening up their homes as Airbnbs.
Oh, really?
To people that come in for the hotter than hell. So there's a lot of those. But just in general, Airbnbs, and then some, you know, according to the law, when somebody lays their head down, they've established residence. So if they're not leaving in a timely manner, that's what our court is for, of course, for the eviction process.
Didn't realize we had Airbnb.
So they,
And they're-
Squatters.
And they're in all neighborhoods. I mean, we have Airbnbs in our neighborhood over around, the stadium, so I mean, they're Airbnbs.
I'm surprised how many rent houses around town that people have bought and made an Airbnb and not a rent house.
Yeah.
Correct.
It's just,
And they come and clean them up, like after somebody stays, they.
I don't know
it
what
like-
they do. I know they say they make more money than a rent house.
Typically
So-
charge a cleaning fee and then service or someone comes in and cleans up
Okay.
between each one.
So if you have somebody, invite somebody to stay in your house for hotter than hell, they can establish legal residence just by sleeping there one night?
Yes, sir.
And not have to move out.
And not have to move out.
I'm taking my hotter than hell shirt off now.
Yes, sir.
Oh, wow.
That's
'Cause it's-
crazy, isn't it?
That's what we used to do is there was,
Very unpleasant to stay there, but,
wow.
Well, no, really, you can't. Making that unpleasant to stay there, that, once you're a landlord and you've got somebody staying there, your rules change totally. There's certain things you can't deprive them of.
But as a guest, I mean, you've invited them into your home as a guest, and they can just establish legal residence for staying at your house one night. There's not any legislation to fix that?
In Wichita Falls, we have Justice of the Peace Court 1, Justice of the Peace Court 2. In Burkett, we have Justice of the Peace Precinct 2.
So if I have an RV park with the accessible use of some tiny homes in the park, does that also play a role? I mean, if somebody came and stayed at my little tiny home that was on the side of my RV park, could they do the same thing to me? Do I really have an RV park housing, or do I have an Airbnb? And does this need to cover Airbnb at RV parks?
That's a good question.
I think
I
that-
never knew.
I think it's you, as the business owner or the person owning the property, it's whatever you designate the property for. So if you are designating it as an RV park, then there's certain rules as far as the JP court is concerned that, an RV park has to follow. There's certain rules that a manufactured home lot has to go for, because like, for manufactured homes, are you renting the site where you can place your own RV home there, or are you providing the RV homes and you're renting? So there's multiple things that you can do.
See, I
It's
think-
just a flow chart of what you have, depends on what you can do.
that determination surely needs to be a part of this document to define which is which, because this is getting where
Well-
all of a sudden we run.
Pandora's box.
Yeah.
Well,
just
the
like what-
definitions have to be good of-
Yeah,
as
just
to
like
what's,
what the judge says, my brother-in-law lives in an RV park in California with his RV where he works out of LA, but in there are sites you can
Yeah.
rent to put up a manufactured home.
Yes, sir.
And there are people that are there as well with the manufactured home, so
Isn't
we.
essentially
we
what the
think
place
about-
is on Seymour Highway?
You're
They
right.
have both.
Yeah,
They
they
have
They have
both.
both.
Oh.
Oh, gosh.
So I bring up,
We're not,
You
we're
asked
not through,
who-
guys. I can already tell.
you ask who'd be responsible for enforcement, would it not fall to the constable's office then, if it's a matter of residency?
Well, I was asking more from the standpoint of if the developer comes in and isn't abiding by. What we're talking about is individual tenants or squatters or whatever you
Yeah.
want to call it. I mean, I think that could be the constable or the SO. I was more asking from the
Yeah.
developer side.
Developer side,
But you could have that at just a normal residence,
yeah.
Correct.
and it happens quite often,
I mean-
I'm understanding.
But we
You
need
see
to
just
define
yesterday-
that. We need to define who is our enforcement arm.
That's.
I told Van we wanted to shrink this down to 4 or 5 pages, and we just went the other way.
We're We're gonna make Van our enforcement officer?
Yeah.
No, I'm out of that business.
But I can see now, though, definition of each
Yeah, the definition
deal
has
is
to
gonna be
be,
real important. You gotta do what it is. And see, we've had kind of probably lack of demand. The water situation here has kind of kept the lid on this RV park deal as I envision it over the years, but that's changing now.
Yeah, we've had 3, Barry, come to Wichita
Yeah.
Valley Water asking for.
That's changing, yeah.
But with some of the potential developments that we've been
Yeah.
told about, the data centers, the solar farm,
Right.
You can
if
see-
all 4 of those items start up, we're talking about
games.
10,000 extra construction workers in
Yeah.
Wichita County.
So I don't know that we should wait on passing something, even if,
It
like I said,
needs modification.
if it needs modification. Because right now, like I said, we don't have anything, and there is some people definitely looking at putting some in.
See, Mark, what you just mentioned, if you notice as you drive to the Metroplex, you've seen those things grow up down there for the very reason you're talking about. You're bringing labor into the area. I mean, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Over the last few years, there's
Yeah.
a lot of activity.
Pop-up neighborhoods, pop
Yeah.
up literally overnight.
Yeah, it pops up and you're seeing a bunch more of them than what you did. So it's coming this way.
Judge, the van gave me 3 references on different things that he put into ours, 3 different documents, but none of them dealt with the enforcement side of it.
And it may be that there's a good reason for that, which is, it may be that under the 232 local government code or one of those other sections where it's mentioned, it's clearly outlined there, in which case, then I don't know that you need it in this. I didn't go and look ahead of time,
Well,
so.
Why, like, maybe Mark mentioned about constables, why couldn't we task
Put it-
them with?
We could certainly put it in there. Just need to think through what that would be
But
like.
I'm like Mickey, I would rather get something in place and come back and modify it and add to, than just winging it. The thing that's helped us the most is the majority of the area that's provided water by Wichita Valley. Wichita Valley's tariff doesn't allow them to come in and supply an RV park. Now, when that changes, it's gonna open the door. So, and we've got an attorney hired out of Austin that's doing that
Their
now.
tariff from the city.
No, not from the city, its own tariff.
Oh,
Yeah.
because the city, I mean, if somebody approved it through the city of Wichita Falls for extra water, I mean, once they get water, we don't have any other recourse. They'll do whatever they.
Yeah,
want.
and it's the land, the volume of land on a frontage road that keeps them from doing it today. They need to turn parallel to or perpendicular to the road, and once they do that, that ruins the footage. They need to take so many waters, and some of them wanna just do a master meter with, distributing. We haven't in the past allowed that, and we're looking at that now.
So do you think, I mean, obviously, it depends on where it is in the county, but would y'all see most of these types of facilities trying to tap into a utility or municipal water supply source, or trying to do groundwater?
No, all of them would want
They do.
municipal.
All of them.
It's too difficult to ever manage and stay in compliance otherwise.
The groundwater's, it's hit or miss.
Yeah, it's hit or miss, and then just the compliance standards from TCEQ, they wouldn't pass inspection. They might this time and the next time not, and it just wrecks the whole.
On the Wichita County on-site sewage facility designated representative, is that the health
Yeah,
department?
they're our authority on that.
They act as the county's DR.
We might need to visit with them as this goes forward, if these start coming in, to make sure they're prepared and have the ability to respond if this starts to get much bigger.
Yeah. We definitely need to.
Because, see, there's gonna be a size, if somebody wants to put in 5 RV spots, that's one thing. But if you wanna put in 100 RV spots, that's complete different. And Barry, remember when you had the station out there, or the convenience store on the High 287, that aerobic system had to completely change because the volume of people that came through that place was compared to what if we'd could be able to step down the amount of volume of water going through the meter to the store. If we'd been able to shrink that, he could have got away with a lot better, smaller system, but.
Well, I mean, yeah, from the standpoint of regulations, from what I could see with that, I think the regulations are well built. It's just gonna be making sure the enforcement or the regulatory authority that's responsible for compliance is able to do it.
You can have all the rules you want, but if you have no way to enforce them, what have you accomplished? And send Mickey out there.
Well, I know that Commissioner Watts and Commissioner Buchanan have already seen through these, worked through. I think a lot of their questions or edits or comments are probably included in this version that we have. I wasn't sure if
I
Commissioner Watt or
read
Commissioner
it yesterday, Van.
Beecham had anything.
Copy, and it's,
Like I say, I was just scared about things I didn't know that made, like what you bringing up, that need to be probably addressed somehow or stated in there that I wouldn't have caught my attention.
And we do have the advantage of, if we adopt them, moving forward, we can make changes to them. We just need to post and do a public hearing on it. So we are fairly flexible in being able to make changes. Yeah, I just don't want us to get caught without anything there.
And there's not a requirement to do a takings assessment of this as far as we know.
I don't think so.
I don't know that there is. You told me you didn't think there was.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
So,
Well, would you put that on then, Judge, and let us move forward, and then with modifications as that gives us time to study some.
Yeah, I think what we'll do is not this coming Tuesday, and I'll have to look and make sure. I think it's a 7-day public hearing posting requirement, but I'll make sure whatever it is, and we'll get it on his agenda as quickly as we can for public hearing, and then
do we not want to
consideration.
consult with the health department before we move forward?
We can.
They're basically, Mark, in charge of
The sewage part.
the
Yeah.
sewage, and I guess they would have a say in any
Yeah.
alternative water issue.
I don't know why, I mean, we could holler at them, but they're not gonna, that's their task. They're not gonna say, you can't do this. They're gonna,
Well, they should at least have some input before we pass it.
Now, what we talked about in here was, so you could make a pad, and right now it's 18 by 50. And that pad, as long as it's appropriate, and it's spelled out in here, Van, help me if I'm wrong, but you can do as good as subdivision required roadways, but we also made provision for an improved gravel road, if you will, for those, because it just made sense, I
Right.
thought.
I will do this. Yeah, definitely will reach out to them to make sure that, obviously, since they're a key part of this, if they've got any issues, concerns, whatever, we'll get those. And if that means a little bit of delay, that's fine, but it's gonna be my goal to try to get something up. And again, if we have a public hearing or somebody brings up something, or even before then
Yeah,
we'll,
sure.
we'll push
No.
it again.
I just want to make sure we're doing our due
Absolutely.
diligence before we, I think we need to move with haste, but
Yeah.
I think we do also do our due diligence.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else have any thoughts, concerns they want to share?
No, just thank Van again for putting all that and gathering it up, and we appreciate it, Van, because otherwise it becomes lost in the wind.
Thanks, sir.
Yep. All right, then I believe that's it. It is 11:25 and court is adjourned.
Okay.